Welcome to Big Blue Breakdown. I am Lucas Bundy, and I'm here with Trent McGahee. And the Giants lost 40-0 to the Dallas Cowboys in Week 1. That was one of the toughest losses I think I've ever watched as a Giants fan, especially in Week 1 with all those expectations we had. The Giants could not get anything going. On the first drive, we saw some promise. We saw some good runs by Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. And then 3 mistakes just came up. We had a false start by Andrew Thomas. We had a bad snap by JMS, and then a blocked field goal. And that's just when I think the energy shifted, and it was just downhill from there, honestly. How are you doing, Trent?
Nah, I'm good. It was just like I just felt like we was gonna at least compete. I was at the game. The atmosphere was crazy. And then as soon as that block kick happened, stadium dead. It was just so shocking. It was just like, damn, bro. And then how I rewatched the special team, like how that block field goal, not gonna lie, that special teams 1-on-1. Like the player just like the what's his name? So the worst.
Who would you fault that for that?
It's the person that let to it. I forgot. It's the person It's the person that's on like the right ring that let the dude run straight. Because of course, to get the fastest.
I think it was Josh Azudu.
Yeah, so get to the straightest points from point A to point B. And the fact that he was just able to literally run straight through and walk over it and to get the block, you can't even. That's not even coaching. That's just bad. That's like you teach middle schoolers that. Like that should never happen in an NFL game. And it was just pathetic. And after that, like how you said, we had nothing going. Even our kicker, Graham Gano, he never misses 30-yard field goals.
He never misses, dude. He's been so good for us. Like he just signed his deal too.
Like it just felt like it just. I'm not gonna say it wasn't our night. I mean, it looks like it, but like it was just like a total domination. Of course, with the Daniel Jones pick when it hit Saquon, it was a perfect hit by the Cowboys linebacker to get the pick by the safety. Even though Daniel Jones had a dude wide open, it was just, bruh, we got a lot to talk about. It's just a lot of kind of concerns that we have now, and we just gotta talk about it. So, how do you feel about? Because we don't talk about the defense later. Let's talk about this offense, bro. Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I was gonna say let's go over the positives first, right? Because there's not that many. For the offensive side, I really thought that Darren Waller showed that he can be a consistent target for Daniel Jones, but he just didn't get the ball that often. Well, he had 5 targets, 3 receptions for 36 yards. That's not a horrible game considering the conditions that they were in. Other than that, though, Saquon looked pretty okay. I just don't like some of the runs that we had on the right side of the line. They just did not work at all because I just felt like they weren't pulling very well. Guys just weren't staying on their blocks. The tight ends weren't blocking very well, especially Darren Waller. But there's not a lot of positive on this offense. You mean like Andrew Thomas was okay. JMS was pretty good. JMS kind of impressed me in the run game. He wasn't really a run blocker in college, but he really impressed me. Just watching the film back. But other than that, there's not really too many positives with this game, especially on offense.
Do you want to get to the issues now, the negatives about the offense?
You go ahead.
So of course, I think the most glaring issue was the O-line. I think nobody can see it. I think at the end of the game, it was 23 pressures, 7 sacks. Like,
yeah, I had the exact numbers.
Let me hear it.
It was 27 pressures, 19 hurries, and how many hits? 8 QB hits.
Bro, that's just flat out.
And Daniel Jones only had 28 dropbacks or 28 passing attempts.
So you're basically saying they had more. I'm not gonna lie, like if you combine that all with that's way more than his passing attempts. And like, bro, like that's just flat out unacceptable. That cannot happen. And it doesn't matter how good the defensive line is.
Right.
Like, no matter how elite this, like, there should never be a game. And this is just for the NFL, period. There should never be a game where your quarterback almost has, or basically has, the same amount of pressures of passing attempts.
That's crazy. Like
there's no way.
Every single time I felt like he was going for a drop back pass, there was somebody on every single time. Every single time there was a pressure.
Like I have to,
and that doesn't even factor in the times that he was scrambling out, running for his life. Like those don't even like consider those a thing. So
let's not get it twisted. Like Daniel Jones had some bad throws. He had a bad pick.
Some bad decisions too.
Gilmore. Yeah, so he had some bad passes, but it's just like you can't. We're not going to win anything. We're not going to get close to what we think the ceiling is if that O-line keeps playing like that. Because there's, again, like I said, there's no way a QB should have basically, or a defense should have more pressures or the same amount of pressures on QB's passing attempts. That's flat out awful. Evan Neal, he has to get better, bro. Like he's probably my number one concern. Like,
yeah, I mean, he was my number one concern coming into the year. He's shown some improvement in his technique. We've already seen that through training camp. Even in this game, he does some things well through his technique, but he just like going against a fast edge rusher is not a good matchup for him at all because they just bend the edge and go right past him every single time, which is why we kind of talked about like Evan Neal should probably move to guard, or if they're going to consider that, they should probably do that soon if they want to get the best out of Evan Neal.
And then here's the issue with what you just said. Majority of the edge rushers in the NFL are fast. They know how to bend the edge. So, like,
yeah, there's a lot of athletic edge rushers for sure.
Yeah, I say this ain't like there's not a lot of unathletic edge rushers. So where we're playing these teams, and mind you, we're already in a division with every team has crazy pass rushers, especially when healthy. Like,
and in 2 weeks we have the 49ers, who obviously have Nick Bosa. That's a terrible matchup for Evan Neal. And if Andrew Thomas is not there because he's hurt, as you've known, because they might rest him because that's a short week coming from Arizona to San Francisco. So they might not play him for the next 2 weeks just to be safe. And if that happens, then so Lord help me God, man. That's going to be awful.
Yeah, and now looking at the game, another concern that just popped in my head, Daniel Jones can, like, injury-wise, like, he's not going to be able to keep taking this type of beating. This is how the O-line's going to play. Like when we play Arizona, I don't expect it to be like that at all. They should be stable. But when we start playing these teams again with crazy pass rushers, bro, there's a huge possibility that he can get hurt because we're letting, like, it's just like when you brought up those stats, it's just so mind-boggling of how many times they got to the quarterback. Like, it's too crazy, and it's flat out unacceptable. It
would be one thing if Evan Neal was getting beat by Micah Parsons because, like, that's Micah Parsons, right? You should get beat by Micah Parsons. But he's getting beat by guys like Dorrance Armstrong and, like, Oza Adigizua, like, guys that you should not be getting beat by consistently.
Like, and it's just like
those are guys you should have at least good reps against and dominate. You should dominate those guys. And you're letting them do you over every single time that you're going up against them. It's stupid.
And honestly, and probably if you probably watch the tape back, because I probably have to watch the tape back again, because you named the stat stuff for the pressures, he's probably half of those pressures. He was getting killed the entire game, bro.
He had 8 pressures and Mark Lewinsky had 9. So that's half between both of them.
That's literally half. That's two, like.
And the rest of the O-line had 2. I think something like that, 2 or 3.
That's unacceptable, bro. That's flat out. That's pathetic. That has to be fixed now. That needs to be it. That's terrible. That's terrible.
Half of Daniel Jones' rushing attempts were probably from the left side because Evan Neal and Mark Lewinsky just get beat as soon as the play is called. So he's just running for his life on the left side every single time, and there's nothing open over there. And that's just not what you want to do for your offense.
Do you have any other negatives about the offense as you've seen?
Brian Dable left Daniel Jones in while we were down 40-0 in the fourth quarter. And he kept getting hit when it was 40-0, and there's no reason to have him in. I don't understand that. Maybe it was just like Brian Dable didn't want to get like skunked 40-0 in his own game for the first time in his career.
It could have been a little ego thing. It could have been.
I think it was a little ego thing because Tyrod Taylor played 3 plays, I think, something like that, in the last minute. That's unacceptable when you're down 40-0. Like, they should protect their quarterback. They just paid $81 million guaranteed, right?
Yeah. But he did this last year though. Like he did that. He did that the first time we played the Eagles when we was getting smacked up at home. He played Daniel Jones for a long time before Tyrod Taylor got in the game. Even in the playoff game. Like it could be a little bit ego thing, but besides that, I think the biggest issue I think we all know is the offensive line because
we didn't even talk about the receivers either. Isaiah Hodgins had a fumble. Jalen Hyatt dropped a pass. They just weren't getting any consistent separation the entire game. And it's hard to because they have Trayvon Diggs and Stephon Gilmore, who are really good corners. And they just weren't playing well at all. Jalen Hyatt had an easy catch in the middle of the field. He just dropped it. Flat out just dropped it. That's really disappointing to see out of Jalen Hyatt. That's really disappointing.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm going to kind of give them a pass just for the receivers part because you can't really get into a groove sake when, again, your quarterback is getting sacked or pressured every single time. You got to throw away the ball majority of the time. Like Isaiah Hodgins, that fumble, not acceptable. Like that was unacceptable. Even though it's at the end of the game, whatever, it's still unacceptable.
You can't fumble. You can't fumble.
Jalen Hyatt, I think, was that his only target in that game?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not gonna like I get it's a bad drop, but that means only his one target. Like I did like watching from Darren Waller, but again,
you gotta catch the ball, man. You've got to catch the ball.
Yeah, you say, of course, like you're a receiver, you gotta catch the ball. Always 2 hands, you always gotta catch the ball. But it's just like they couldn't even get in the groove. Like nothing could get in the groove. Like Dak Prescott he didn't even get 200 yards. I don't even think he passed the ball 25 times, and we lost 40-0.
He had less completions than Daniel Jones.
Like he didn't do anything, and we lost 40-0.
Yeah, I mean, when you get on the field and you have a mistake like that on special teams, and then you go back and you throw a ball to Saquon and it's fumbled, and you're already down 16-0 before you even have a real drive down the field, that's just tough to come back from. I mean, the stuff that they were doing on the first drive, they couldn't really do anymore because that's just like stuff that drains the clock, right? Like the run game and the like short passes, the stuff you can't do while you're down 16-0. You got to have big chunk plays and throw down the field. And that stuff couldn't develop because of the pass rush. So that's just another concern too.
All right. So going to the defensive side of the ball, of course, let's talk about the positives on defense. You can go first.
I think the rookie corners played pretty well, especially Deonte Banks. He had 2 pass breakups. He didn't allow a single catch all day. He had a 39.6 passer rating allowed, and like he consistently was just beating Brandon Cooks out on the line every single time. There was one play where he got a penalty, which I think I kind of liked the penalty because he was just being really physical with Brandon Cooks, and he pushed him out on the sidelines. I kind of like that, but I thought he was really sticky and especially on short routes in like the red zone. He was pretty good. Trey Hawkins had 2 bad penalties down the field. He allowed both catches that he was targeted in. But I thought overall he was pretty good. He was impactful in the run game. I thought he had some good tackles on 3rd and 2nd down. Yeah, that's what those 2. I think they had a pretty overall solid game. But Adoree Jackson, man, he just did not have a good game flat out like at all covering CeeDee Lamb. It just felt like every time he got targeted, it was just a big play. Like it was 20, 30 yards every time. The pass rush rule wasn't getting there. Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari had 0 pressures combined. That's unacceptable out of your 2 best edge rushers. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, it's just like I said in the first episode. CeeDee was gonna get his. Like I thought Adoree was gonna play better, but it is what it is. It was just a flat out bad game from everybody. I definitely how you like Deonte Banks had played. He played.
I like his physicality. Like that's a really good thing, especially in this defense that like.
And I like how Trey Hawkins played a little bit. I kind of felt like that, even though I see why they called it a PI on that Brandon Cooks play. Kind of felt like he flopped.
It was
Yeah, I feel
BS.
like
That was a BS PI
like
for
I feel
sure.
like he kind of flopped because remember you talked about how you didn't like the matchup for Trey Hawkins and Brandon Cooks that you don't like him like going shit to receivers and going deep. And that was like literally once when I saw him throw the ball, I literally thought of you and literally thought what you were saying. And it was a good play,
Yeah.
but it's just like the D line
You
plays
can't you
solid.
can't wrap your arm around somebody's neck while they're trying to catch the ball. Like you just can't do that.
Yeah, the D
Even though
line.
even though it didn't affect the catch, I feel like you got to call that. Like
Yeah,
that's something you got to call.
Yeah, the D line play solid. It's just, bro, like they was on the field so many times, bro. Like that's just
I saw the stat that there was only 3 true pass sets the entire game, so that kind of makes sense why they didn't really have any pressures. It's really hard especially for edge rushers to get pressures on plays like that. It's easier for guys in the inside because they're immediately like getting hands on somebody, and edgers kind of have like 1 or 2 seconds to get their hands on somebody. So, yeah, I don't know. It's really tough because I don't really think the defense played too bad the whole game because like they only allowed probably like 14 points, and it was just special teams, and the offense just was not good at all. And I feel bad for defense. I feel bad for him.
all right. But we talked about the positives a little bit on defense. Do you have any like main negatives did you saw on defense besides probably your Dory?
Xavier McKinney did not look good in the run game to me. He missed some tackles. He had some bad pursuit angles on some of the run plays, but he was overall good in coverage. But there's not really too many negatives to have on defense besides just Adore and Xavier McKinney in some scenarios. I thought Micah McFadden had a really good game. He had 11 tackles and 1 for loss. Him and Bobby Okereke should be good for this defense. They're two run stopping linebackers, and Okereke I thought he was pretty good in coverage as well. But he had a pretty underwhelming game to me, in terms of like just stats and tackles. Usually that's a guy who's getting like 8-9 tackles a game. He was on the Colts. He's kind of a little bit underwhelming, but he should bounce back.
Yeah, for sure. And then of course, we know the main negatives about special teams. The block field goal, again, that's fifth degree stuff. What happened? That's irresponsible at all. And then, of course, the field goal. Like once I saw Graham miss that field goal, I'm like, bro, like
when Graham's missing, it's over.
Like he doesn't miss 30-yard field goals, bro. Like 30 yards. Like I was just like, it was just like, yeah, like it was over with, bro. You never see him miss 30-yard field goals. But I like
30 yards is a chip shot. It's a chip shot.
Yeah, the only positive I really have is that I liked how Jamie was punting the ball. Really, he was getting it. Listening because we was punting in, bro. We was down. Like we was getting like our own 15, our own 20 because we couldn't move the ball, and he was booting it back there. But it was just like that's the only main positive from special teams that I like how Jamie was punting. Like we got a whole lot. I just feel like now it's just it's a lot of football left. You can still recuperate. It's just that was an experience, I'll say.
Yeah, like how was it like? Because you were obviously there, so how was the experience of like walking into the game? You had some access that more people don't really have. Like how was that?
You want to talk about that? I was walking in with my dad. You go into the locker room, it's lit, blasting music. Pre-game is lit. You see Eli Manning out there. I talked to him. Justin Tuck. You see Victor Cruz talk to him. Like Giants, they're Giants legends that won Super Bowls and know how to get it done. Like, and then don't even get me started on when Queen Latifah was singing the national anthem, the whole flag, the whole stadium was out showing the lights. It was amazing. And then the game started.
I mean, the first drive gave me some hope.
Like first drive, we was
3 straight mistakes we had.
First drive, everybody was screaming. Like when Daniel Jones scrambled and forgot who tried to hit him when he got the targeting penalty and he slid. Everybody was going crazy. Right when that fumble snap happened, everything dropped. Everything. Now it's a rookie mistake, of course. You got to get the ball up, but it's just like that can't happen. Like, and we're already in a schedule where it's a tough schedule for sure. And you play 7 out of the 10, like your first 10 games on the road. That's the first time in NFL history where like a team is doing that.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to capitalize, and we just gotta push. We gotta push through, make forward. I think this offense can still make huge progress. Again, like it's just really we can't really have a basis on without this old line playing. Like 2 people causing almost 20
17
pressures.
17
Like
pressures.
yeah, 2 people causing basically almost 20 pressures in one game. That's unacceptable. That should
It's
never
absurd.
happen. Like that should never happen in a football in an NFL game. Or even in a college. Like this shouldn't happen in football, period. It doesn't
Especially
matter.
not against backups.
Like this should like it'd be different as Micah Parsons. Because Andrew Thomas, he held his own. He held his own. Like, but I'm expecting him to do that because he's one of the best tackles in the league. Evan Neal, yeah, you got a lot of stuff.
He also got injured on the first drive during that field goal block. That's when he got injured.
Yeah, and
that really sucks because this offense cannot function without him. We already know how bad this O-line is. Imagine if they didn't have Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, bro, it's just we got to see how this.
Like, even Andrew Thomas on the first drive had a false start, and he didn't have any false starts last year. And on the first drive, he already has one. That just like right after that fumble snap, then a block field goal. And it felt like it was over at that point for me. It felt like it was over.
I just feel like, of course, we got smacked 40 zip, but this next game has to be it basically has to be a statement game.
We have to smack the fucking Cardinals.
Like, because even I just seen the Commanders barely beat them. Not gonna lie. We need to come out there and make a statement. We need to smack them like a 35-7, or even if it's a 28-14 game, it needs to feel like it's a blowout. Like it needs to feel like dominant.
We cannot stand to look bad against the Arizona Cardinals, who are arguably the worst team in the league.
Because
we cannot stand for that.
Like that can't like we need to have a statement game. It's just kind of like it changes your whole perspective when you get smacked like that.
It's humbling. It truly is humbling.
Like it's just like
I hope this coaching staff is humbled. I hope the players are humbled. I hope they learn from this because that was a beating, and I don't ever see that. I don't ever want to see that again.
Like this was what it felt like worse than, because the thing is we have better pieces now. Like when we got smacked by the Eagles last year in the playoff game and the first game at home, kind of expected that to happen because our team was nowhere near what it was now. We're getting zipped now first game. And mind you, first game is basically all the time you got to prepare for a team. Like it's all this stuff that's leading up. You got training camp, OTAs, all the stuff that's leading up to the first game of the year. And you come out like that. Now, of course, we've seen it. We've seen the Giants before get smacked in regular season and make huge progress. But that's like a superstition. That's not going to happen every time. So we just need to see them have a statement game. Like we need to, and then even in the next game going forward, show that you can compete with the 49ers, because it can show hope that, like, even though it's going to be a hard thing to do, because the 49ers is easily like a top 5, like it's one of the best teams in the league. We all know this. Yeah. We need to show that we can still compete with them. Just really show the world that, oh yeah, they got smacked, but they're still going to they can still come back and be something.
They arguably have a better roster than the Cowboys, and we just got smacked 40-0 by them. And we're going to play them without Andrew Thomas, most likely. I am not looking forward to that game whatsoever. Regardless if he plays or not, I'm not looking forward to it. I think there's some things they can do with his offensive line to make it look better. First things first, Mark Lewinsky needs to not start a game anymore. Like I said in the preview for this game, Josh Azudu should be playing at left guard and Ben Bresson should be playing at right guard. That should have been how it was since OTAs. That should have been how it was the whole offseason, because Mark Lewinsky is just not a good player, and he wasn't last year, and he's terrible in the first game of the season. He needs to be cut or just not play anymore. Or they can sign somebody in free agency, sign a tackle, move Evan Neal to guard, but I really doubt that's what's going to happen. I think the most logical and what's going to happen is Zuda's going to come in at left guard, and then Preston moves over.
Yeah, man, that's just really what it is, bro. Like it's just.
But none of that happens if Andrew Thomas gets hurt. So, or if he doesn't play, then that all changes. Somebody has to play left tackle, and I think that's going to be Josh Zudu, which is going to be tough.
Yeah, that was a very humbling game. I was not expecting. Even if we lost like a 14-point margin, I would have been cool with that, bro.
I just wanted to score.
We didn't score a damn point, man. We didn't score a single fucking point. Like,
I don't even think we crossed the 50-yard line but twice in the whole game. And the first one was on the first drive.
Yeah, and then the next one was the one. The next one was the one where Grant missed the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Like it's upsetting, it's frustrating, and it's very humbling how that game went. But
hope they learn from this. I really hope they do. If this isn't a lot of fire under their ass, then I don't know what will.
I don't know.
Being embarrassed by your divisional opponent and being embarrassed last year by your divisional opponent has to be terrible. It has to really humble you and make you just want it more. If it doesn't, then you should not be coaching. You should not be playing. You should not be doing anything for this organization.
I have to say the last playoff game we had, it was 36-7, and then first game of the year, you don't score a single fucking point.
78-7 in our last two games.
It's pathetic.
Against the two teams that we've tried to catch up with. Obviously, we're not there yet. We're just not there yet.
Yeah, well, you got anything else, Lucas? You say anything?
So we come up with this pod a little bit late. We apologize for that. It's been a little crazy over here. But we will have a preview pod out Saturday with picking spreads on TikTok. His name's Donnie. It's his actual name. So look forward to that. Hopefully that's a good game against the Cardinals. But we'll see, man. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe, leave a like, give us a 5-star rating, and see you guys later.
Yes, sir. Peace.